Shalom Yashara, Shalom. Kal Alayim, Alahayanawa, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who are teachable and rule well, who taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the Akim, the fellow laborers of hope for the elect, pushing this truth that rescue their own lives through the four corners of the earth. To the Ak with listening and learning, Shalom. It's your brother Shema from the Pillars of Benjamin camp. Here we're another lesson, and we'll get right into it. Some precepts, meditating on, talking about the deliverance, the chariots, right? How the Lord is going to come and snatch up his elect, right? Take up his elect, gather his elect. Jeremiah 23, verse 7, and it reads, "Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord," all caps, Yahawah, that they shall no more say, "The Lord, Yahawah, liveth." Right? So a day is coming where no one's going to say anymore a certain thing happened in a certain manner, right? Which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, right? The deliverance from Egypt via the hand of Moses, through Moses, right? It's no longer going to be spoken about, right? Verse 8, "But the Lord Yahawah liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country," right? And what is the north country? Babylon the Great, America the Great. "And from all countries whither I had driven them," right? Throughout the four corners of the earth, right? Israel was scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Let's look in Isaiah. The main deliverance being in America the Great, Babylon the Great. But Israel is scattered everywhere. His elect will be gathered from the four winds. Isaiah 11. Isaiah 11 verse 11, and it reads, "And it shall come to pass," and the title says the restored remnant. Who's the remnant? The elect. "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time." The first deliverance was from ancient Egypt, right? "To recover the remnant of his people," the elect being the remnant, "which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea," right? The four corners of the earth, man, right? You got Jake in Babylon. You got Jake in Europe. You got Jake in the islands. You got Jake in the Middle East. Right? This is going to be a great deliverance. Back into Jeremiah 23 verse 8. "But the Lord liveth, Yahawah, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country," right? His elect, "and from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land," right? So the deliverance of the elect, right? Dwell in their own land. "The kingdom of heaven on earth as it is in heaven," set up in the land of Israel, which will be destroyed with nuclear missiles, right? "But the kingdom of heaven will be on earth as it is in heaven." Matthew 24. Verse 30. Red letter, our Lord said this. And it reads, "And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. What are the clouds? The chariots, what the world ignorantly calls UFOs, right? And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds and from one end of heaven to the other, right? We just read in Isaiah 11 verse 11 some of the regions that the elect will be that the elect have been scattered to, right? This is the great deliverance. This is the salvation, right? Coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. That's the chariots. Psalm 68 verse 17, and it reads, the chariots of the Most High are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord, lowercase Lord, that's the Son, Yawashi, is among them, as in Sinai in the holy place, right? 20,000. The chariots of Yahawah are 20,000, even thousands of angels, right? Right, these chariots are going to cover the sky, man. Right? 2 Kings 2 verse 11. And it came to pass as they still went on and talked that, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven, right? And this is when Elijah was taken up, right? A chariot of fire and horses of fire. A whirlwind into heaven. That's the chariots, man. What the world ignorantly calls UFOs. Verse 12. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof, right? The chariots, man. What the world ignorantly calls UFOs. And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces, right? The chariots of Israel came and took up Elijah, man. The same way the elect are going to be taken up into the sky, right? This is the deliverance. 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 16. For the Lord himself, Yawashi, shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, caught up into the air, together with them in the clouds, in the chariots, to meet the Lord, Yahawashi, in the air. This is plain as day, man. And so shall we ever be with the Lord, right? The hopeful elect. Lord willing, we are of that number, man. Right? This is going to be a great deliverance. Right? Lord willing, we are of that number. Right? And these heathen nations are going to witness it. 2/3 of our people are going to see it. Isaiah 26 verse 20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers. What are these chambers? The chariots, man. And shut thy doors about thee. Let's look at this word, chambers. Enter thou into thy chambers.
Strong's H2315. Cheder. Cheder.
Heder in the Hebrew. Chamber, room, parlor, innermost or inward parts, within. An apartment, usually literal. Bed. Inner chamber, innermost, right? The inner chamber of the chariots. The root word.
Strong's H2314. Chader. Chader.
hader, to encompass, surround, enclose, right? We're going to be caught up in the air, beamed up, enclosed in the inner chambers of the chariots, man. Isaiah 26 verse 20 once again. Come my people, who? Israelites. Israel being a people before a place. You so-called indigenous, you so-called Latino, you so-called Negro. Right? Beginning with the elect. Okay, because it's only the elect gonna get caught up. Enter thou into thy chambers, the chariots, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed, right? Until the destruction be overpassed. This word indignation means righteous anger. The Most High Yawashi is going to melt this place with fire, right? From the laser beams from the chariots, in tandem with the ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, being shot off. Hide thyself as it were for a moment. Salakia, hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed, right? This is what's coming, brothers. You know what I mean? Right? And Lord willing, we're of that number. Right? Isaiah 26 verse 20. For behold means look, the Lord Yahawah cometh out of his place to punish. Right? The Lord Yahweh sending his son, right? Coming out of that fourth dimension to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity, sin upon sin. This place is filthy, man. This place has to be purged with what? A purifying agent. What's the purifying agent? Fire. The earth also shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain, right? This is what's coming. 2nd Ezra chapter 13 verse 3, and it reads, and this is a vision of Ezra, right? 2nd Ezra chapter 13 verse 3, and it reads, and I beheld, right? This is what Ezra saw, vision. And lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. Didn't we read in Psalm 68 verse 17? Right, the chariots of Yahawah, the chariots of the Lord are 1,000, 10,000 angels. Don't want to butcher it. Psalm 68 verse 17, the chariots of the Most High are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai in thy holy place. Right, and this is talking about Yawashi. So let's go back. 2nd Ezra chapter 13 verse 3. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, right, with the hosts of heaven, armies, the angels. It's talking about Yawashi. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him, right? Everything trembled, man. Why? He's coming in his strength and his power, man. Right? Revelation 1 verse 7. Revelation 1 verse 7, it reads, behold means look, he cometh with clouds. Who? Yawashi. He's coming with the chariots he's coming with the chariots of Israel, the chariots of the Most High Yawashi. And every eye shall see him. Every eye gonna see him. And they also which pierced him, right? This goes into reincarnation. Those same spirits are back. Those same Roman centurions that pierced him, those spirits are back, right? And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen, right? People are going to wail, man, because this power and great glory that Yawashi is going to come with, man. People are going to bug out, right? It says all the things trembled that were seen under him, right? The power and the glory that Yawashi is coming with, right? These chariots, the power and the glory of these chariots, right? Gathering up of the elect, beaming up of the elect. We can visualize it, man. Us in this truth, the hopeful elect, we can see this thing, man. Verse 4, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire, right? That's those laser beams, man, coming out of the chariots. burning up everything, zapping it up. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea, right? Came out of the sky. The World War III is going to be in full effect, right? It says here, the multitude of men out of number from the four winds. This is World War III, right? So they're going to stop doing what they're doing, and what's going to happen? Verse 6, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. That's the chariot, man. That's the fathership of Yawashi, man. Yawashi flew upon it, right? Ezra used the words available to his reality at the time. He couldn't say there was no such thing in his vocabulary, his vocabulary or reality. There was no word UFO. He said a great mountain and flew upon it. Verse 7. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not, right? That's how big this chariot's going to be, man. Right? Ezra said there's no way on earth that he could see where this mountain could have came from that Yahawashi was flying upon. Huge. It's going to block out the sky, man. It's going to block out the sun. I can't put it into words. Right? But we can visualize it. Verse 8, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him, right? These armies that are in the midst of World War III, right? Were sore afraid, and yet durst fight, right? The Most High Yahawah is going to put the spirit on these world armies to fight. It says sore afraid, and yet durst fight, right? They're going to be afraid, but they're going to fight. Why? Because the Most High Yahawah is going to put the spirit on these warring nations, these Edomites, to fight. Verse 8. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, right, Yahawashi, he neither lift up his hand nor held sword nor any instrument of war, right? He didn't have no weapons in his hand, right? These chariots didn't even look like they were decked out with gun turrets, right? But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. That's those laser beams from the chariots, right? Remember, Ezra is using the words, the vocabulary, and the things in his time to describe this thing. The words in sync with the reality of his time to describe these things, right? 2 Ezra 13 verse 10, once again, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, those laser beams, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight, right? These armies, these World War III armies, and burnt them up, every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid, right? Vaporized, man. In Ezra's vision, he saw the World War III armies being vaporized. Right? This is what he saw. Isaiah 31 verse 5, and it reads, as birds flying, so will the Lord, all caps, Yahawah, of hosts, armies, defend Jerusalem, right? Beginning with the elect. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it, right? That's the deliverance. Right? As birds flying, the chariots, man. Right? Revelation 11 verse 12, and it reads, And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. Right, the elect. This is when the chariots on the scene zapping up this place, right? And the elect going to be beamed up. We read it in Thessalonians chapter 4, right? Come up hither, that's the beaming up. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, the chariots, and their enemies beheld them, right? All these nations going to see it. These heathen nations going to see it. Esau, Edom going to see it. Truth is, where people going to see it. Right? And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and a 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, right? That's the destruction, man. 7 being the number of completion. A complete number of people going to perish in this thing, man. That's the destruction. That's the missiles, right? And the remnant, the elect, were affrighted, right? Because it's going to be the skin of the teeth, man. And gave glory to the power of heaven, right? Let's look at this word, affrighted, right? This is a great deliverance. We opened with Jeremiah 23, right? Nothing like it. And the remnant were affrighted.
Strong's G 1719. Imphabus. Imphabus.
Thrown into fear, terrified, right? But we're going to praise the Most High, Yawashi. Lord willing, we have that number. Terrified, but praising Him, right? Right? Lord willing. But yeah, that's it on that. You know? Just some deliverance scriptures, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's it on that, man. Stay prayed up. Pray without ceasing. Kwam Yasharala. Wa Abad. Babal. Shalom.